Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another sessions with the Government Contractors Association on a Lunch and Learn webinar session. My name is Abraham. I am the president and founder of the Government Contractors Association. I'm here live with all of you online, and I also have Myra Cisse here. She is going to be answering any questions on the backside. So if you have any questions, type it in, and we'll be answering all those questions along the way. To get started, today's session, we're going to be talking about mining for gold, or how to find contracting opportunities in the government market. So whether you're new in the government space or you've been around, we're going to show you some new tips and tricks, and hopefully some of them you'll discover new, and some of them you'll discover you may have known. But we're going to cover a few different things, and then we're also going to do some live, go out there live, so you can see a demonstration of how to find it. Not only where to go, but how to do it as well. So if all of you are on and you're ready to get started, go ahead and type in a 1 to let me know that you're ready and you're excited to start learning about how to mine for gold and looking for contract opportunities. Okay, go ahead and type in 1s. If you're here and you're not falling asleep, type in 1s. Okay, I see some 1s. So we're ready to get started on this webinar. So let's go ahead and go into it. So in the government market, there's a lot of tremendous opportunities out there. And before we go into how to find opportunities, I want to talk about how the government work and how they buy from the commercial market, so that once we understand that, then you can go dive deeper in terms of how to find those opportunities. So the government buys in many different ways. They have a contracting department, and that's internal to their agency or multiple agencies. And so that's one way of how they buy. A good example of that would be the DLA, or the Defense Logistic Agency. They buy for the Department of Defense. And so that is a buying arm for the Department of Defense, which includes the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and multiple other agencies. So that's one example of how they buy. Another example is they buy through external agencies. GSA would be an external agency. They're pseudo-government. They were formed as after World War II. The first project was to procure construction services for the White House, because the White House was in disarray and the building wasn't in good condition. And so GSA has now become a very large buying arm for many government federal agencies. And since then, it's extended to commercial, some or not commercial, but some state agencies as well as some local agencies. They are in there using GSA schedules, going to GSA and procuring services to support their agencies. So let's go ahead and move on to the next component of how they buy. They buy through contracting officers within agencies. So some agencies have a purchasing department, and so within those purchasing department, there are contracting professionals. They go through school, they go through training. They do all those things there so that they can understand the rules and regulations, and so that they can engage you as a business owner. So contracting officers do purchasing. Then they also use to sell to the government. You as a business owner must register. In today's session, we're not going to dive deep into the registration process, but you have to register as a vendor. For federal work, it's sam.gov. That's the main database for all businesses wanting to be vendors to the federal government. And then there's state. For every state, if you're in Florida, the state of Florida have their own vendor database. The state of Georgia, Illinois, California, doesn't matter what state you're in. Every state has their own vendor database as well. And then there's local municipalities. And in terms of local municipalities, I'm going to show you how to become a vendor with them in a little bit as well. And then large primes who are winning contracts with the government, whether it's federal, state, or local, they're required to subcontract work to small businesses. So they become a great contracting source for you as a business owner as well. So we're going to talk about some of these details in more in a little bit. But the key to doing this here is typing in doing business with. And so if you're searching for a state, a local, county, city, you type in the word doing business with and you put in, for example, Cook County, Illinois, it's going to show you where to go from that. So I'm gonna actually go in there and give you a quick demonstration of that there. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to put in here doing business with, and then I'm going to put in the state. So I'm put in here state of Hawaii because I want to go do business Hawaii. And while I'm out there, I want to take a few days off to get some sun and, you know, like all of us, right? So by typing in doing business with, you can see that the first link here goes to the Hawaii.gov site doing business with the state of Hawaii. So all I need to do at this point here is click on this link, and I can choose a few different links, but this is probably usually the best hit, the first one here. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see that it takes me directly to the Hawaii portal in terms of how to be a vendor, the procurement process, the price and vendor list contracts. And so you can even go to the counties with Hawaii in here, doing business with the judiciary system down there in Hawaii. But you see why the link, you know, the link is so portal.ehawaii.gov/business/doing business with the state. That's why we don't publish all these links, because they change all the time. And so the easiest way for any state is just to type in doing business with. And it's the same thing with local agencies as well. So once you're here and you want to become a vendor with the state of Hawaii, you click on the vendor guide, and then it starts to give you more information. You can go deeper, but for today's exercise, I'm not gonna show you how to become a vendor. I want to show you how to access these different state agencies. And so price vendor list contracts, I want to look at their opportunities, and I can do that. Actually, I want to state county procurement notices. This is what I really want. I want to go to that page because today we're talking about how to find opportunities. And so now I'm going to go deeper into their platform with the state of Hawaii. So they use a platform called HLE Pro, Notices of Solicitation on the State of Hawaii e-Procurement. So that stands for Hawaii e-Procurement. So I'm going to click on this here. And then you have to log in to see the opportunity, the solicitation that's in their system. So I don't, you know, for this purpose today, you can go in here, and if you're really looking for true opportunities in the state of Hawaii, you have to click on login to go deeper. So let me go with another example, and I'm going to go to Google again. I'm going to type in doing business with, and let's assume I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm going to put in here LA County, and I'm going to click on this here. So doing business with LA County, Los Angeles County here. So I'm here. You can see this first link here, doing business.lacounty.gov. So I'm going to click on this link. It takes me to LA County. Their site looks a little old. They need to update their site a little bit. The logos is a little fuzzy, but that's another story for another day. Okay, so I'm here. I can register self-registration and go through their VSS. I can look for contract opportunities. So let me click on contract opportunities. And it says the county is in the process of consolidating operation contract opportunities offered by the county. You can access the website here. So now you can see that I'm diving deeper in terms of for the different counties, the different cities, In this example here, we're looking for LA counties. So I'm gonna let this load up. While this is loading up, I'm gonna look for another one. I'm gonna go to Google and doing business with, and I'm gonna put in here a city. So let's go with a small little city. Let's go with let's go with let's go with Redland City. Oh, so you can go in here, and so you can see here Redland City Council, City of Redland, a city that works, doing business with the city. So you can dive as deep as you want to, and to even a small little city. So this gives you enough examples of a few where I did the state, the county, and the city, and you can just do that for the area of interest that you have, and that's how you go and find opportunities with those here. So I can view open bids, and I'm gonna search. So right now, LA County has acoustical tile. They've got alcohol and drug detox services and athletic training, so auctioneering services. So you can see there are lots of different, your CPA auditing services. If you're auctioneer, I'm going to click on this here to look deeper into this project here. Vehicles and vehicle equipment auction services. So they're looking for auctioneer to auction off all the vehicles that the county repossess at some point. And then if you're interested, you can come in here and look at this project here. This is for auctioneer services. It's available now. This is the contracting officer. If you have questions, you can email her so that she can get more clarification to you. Now, usually they will have to publish those, and if they don't have, if the Q&A session is over, they will let you know. But if it's something critical that pertains to you and many other people, Lauren Bice, she will answer your question but publish it to everybody else so they can see. Because if she only email you back because the project has hit the street, she's not supposed to communicate with you specifically about the project. But if your question is pertinent to everybody else, she will answer everybody else, including you, in her response. So if you're interested in this project here, you would click on the download and you'll get more information. I'm not going to do that, but so this is an example of how to go in there and find federal, state, and local. So let's go back to our presentation here, and let's continue. So the government also buy through credit cards or smart cards or purchase cards. And you typically purchase cards is $25,000 or less, and any amount that is under $3,000 is called actually $3,500 now is called micro purchase. And so in a micro purchase, they can do a purchase order and just buy directly from you. But for contracting opportunities, that's considered SAP. There's different types of SAPs out there. SAP stands for Simplified Acquisition Procedures. Now for federal work, if a project is less than $150,000, that's considered SAP for small businesses only. So in that scenario, only small business can bid on projects at the federal level for $150,000 or less. And unless they have a exclusion or a reason why, under normal situation, it has to go to a small business. The project is less than $150,000. So in that scenario, if you're bidding on a project and there's a large company bidding on it, and they win the contract, you can actually file a protest, and they will have to take that project away from the large company and re-award it to you as a small business. So simplified acquisition is very important. There's also many other simplified acquisition processes out there. For example, using certification, set-asides are a type of simplified acquisition. An 8A certified company can use the 8A sole source simplified acquisition process. And so for counties, like for the city of Atlanta, they have the AABE certification, which is the African American Business Enterprise certification. They also have the SBE certification, which is a small business enterprise, and they can set it aside to small business, or they can add additional points to small business in the bidding process. So these are different types. Now, the government use contract vehicles, and there's multiple types of contract vehicles. For today's example, I'm going to use mainly federal examples. And so the first one I want to talk about is indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. This is IDIQ contracts. And this is where the government decides to take usually it's multi-million dollars in nature, maybe even 10, 50, $100 million type of projects, and they will go using use the IDIQ contract vehicle method, and they will put it out, and they would choose, for example, maybe only 10 companies to be part of this IDIQ awardees, and then from that, only those 10 companies, when the government have a specific need, only those 10 companies can submit a quote or a bid to the government, and then the government would choose from those 10 companies. So getting onto an IDIQ type of contract is very good for your business. They also have GWAC, which is government-wide acquisition contracts. And in a GWAC contract is very similar to IDIQ contract, but once you have a GWAC contract vehicle, you can sell to multiple agencies and to through the GWAC contract vehicle itself. And there's MAC contracts, multiple award contracts out there, and then there's also multiple award schedules. And so schedules are where they create typically with GSA, they will award multiple companies within a niche area, a certain type of, whether it's like IT services or staffing services, and then only those companies can bid on future projects that comes out. So very similar. Many of these things here, different agencies use different contract vehicles, but many of them share the same principles. So it just depends on which agency you're working with. Different agency chooses different contract vehicles. Federal supply schedules, that's again also known as GSA schedules. BPA, blanket purchase agreements, that's typically done by GSA as well. And so based on the agency you want to work with or focus on, then you have to see which one they like to use, the contract vehicles of choice that those agencies have, and then you appropriately go after those contracting vehicles. Basic ordering agreement, another contracting vehicle. MATOC, multiple award task order contract. In a multiple award task order contract, they award a contract to you, to your business, and then there's going to be multiple task order later that comes out, and then you would just do the work as it comes out. There's SATOC, single award task order contract. And then set-asides, again, set-asides is a type of contracting vehicle. It falls under simplified acquisition procedures. And for set-asides is typically from the government for small disadvantaged businesses. Typically, the federal government's goal is 23%. When a large company wins a contract over $750,000, they are required typically to subcontract about 35% to small businesses. And they further define small businesses and classify different certified companies like 8A, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, hub zone companies as part of those subcontracting requirements. Now, for city work and county work, for example, right now we're in we're in Atlanta, and the Atlanta Falcons is getting a new stadium, and so there's a new football stadium that's being built in progress right now, and the city of Atlanta, as well as the contractors, as well as the football team and the NFL, have a subcontracting goal of about, I believe, 35% also to sub those contracts to small and minority-owned businesses, as well as women-owned businesses. So So even city and state have subcontracting goals that's required on the prime to work with small businesses. And then sole source, which is a direct award to one company, is another type of contracting vehicle. And of all these contracting vehicles for small businesses, the most effective and probably the one that you should consider as the opportunity of choice, the contracting vehicle of choice should be sole source, because that is a direct award. So it eliminates all your competitors out there. And if you build a relation with the agency and they know you, they trust you, they believe that you're going to be able to perform and deliver on the work, then they can sole source you a contract directly up to $4 million without competition. Now, sole source is predominantly done through the 8A program. It can also be done through the Service Disabled Veteran Owned Business, SDVOSB. It can also be done through HubZone, and it can be done to the new regulations that came out allow women-owned businesses to get sole source initiative as well. And then there's other types of sole source for large company. For example, Lockheed Martin. There's different types of sole source initiatives out there with a direct award to one company. For sole source for small business is usually to certified companies. Sole source to large companies or medium-sized companies is usually because they have one type of technology, or they may be the only company out there that can deliver a certain type of service or has a certain product. So let's look at an example of that, missile defense system. And the government says, hey, we're going to build some satellites and we're going to send it into space, and we're going to use that for the purpose of destroying any missiles that is shot from somewhere overseas, the international community, and is directed to the United States. We're going to have satellites out there that's going to shoot either another rocket to shoot it down or laser beams to shoot it down, whatever that technology is. There's maybe one, two, or very few companies out there can deliver that. And even though there may be 4 or 5 companies that can deliver it, the government may not want five or six different companies having access to the technology. And so it's considered top secret. And so they may not, so they will go and choose one agency, whether it's Raytheon, whether it's Northrop Grumman, whether it's Lockheed Martin, and they will negotiate with them directly, come up with the pricing, the budget, and then they do a sole source to large company as well. So sole source is not only for small business, it's for all types of business. And so, so it's just based on what your needs are or what the government's needs are. So these are some examples of contracting vehicles. Let's look at some specific examples. So a specific example of a contracting vehicle is with GSA. GSA has GSA schedules, and there's 35 different types of GSA schedules out there. And they're also known as multiple award schedules or federal supply schedules. And in this, with GSA, they also have GSA Stars 2. And Stars 2 is typically for 8A companies. They also have FSSI, Federal Strategic Sourcing Initiative. This is for, they use this here for office supplies, office equipment, those different types of things like that, printing needs, and so forth. I believe printing is included in that there, but typically office supplies for all agencies. Can you imagine how much office supplies they buy? Pens, pencils, papers, chairs, desk, so much stuff. All government agency has over 20 million employees. The largest employer in the world is the federal, state, and local agencies in the United States. And so imagine 20 million employees, how much paper, pens, supplies you have to procure for your employees, or government employees. So there's also Seaport E, that's tied to the Navy. There's NetSense 1 and 2, iTest 2. There's Encore 2. There's Alliant. There is VETS GWAC. There's Oasis, which is one of the latest new contracting vehicle that's out there, just recently awarded. And then there's Ability 1, which is formerly known as GWAD or Javits Wagner O'Day program. And this ability one is usually awarded to Goodwill Services, and which is sometimes known as the services that uses or contract opportunity that uses companies or organizations that employ those with some type of disabilities or special needs type of situation. They still need work, they still need jobs, but if they're employed by whether Goodwill or any other organization, through the Ability One program, those companies can get contracts directly, usually typically sole source from the government to those organizations. And then there's federal prison industries, you call Unicor, and for some, there's some business you may tap into the prison industry because it's huge, but the Unicor is specifically using the manpower of the prison system to provide work and provide services back to the government. So some of those things have been challenged, and so there's some changes with the prison system because it's not fair competition because prisoners are not always paid minimum wage, and so there's no wage standard for prisoners, and so they're paid a small wage, but as a business in the commercial market and you're trying to compete like furniture making, the prison has a furniture industry, and so if they're making furniture and they're selling it, well, guess what? You're in the commercial market, you can't make furniture lower than what the prison system can produce. But that's another story. There's Veterans First Contracting Program. VA has that there, and if you're with the VA awards. If you're a veteran doing business with VA, the DoD is very powerful. The VA awards about 26% of all their annual spending in terms of contract needs goes to veterans. So that would be a very good agency for you to go and find contract opportunities with. All right, so we talked through quite a bit. If you have any questions, type in your questions to the side, and we'll answer some of those questions later on. If you're still with me, go ahead and type in 1 so that I can know that you're still with me. We've covered quite a few different types of contracting vehicles. And now I want to dive into how to find past awards. We're going to cover 3 things here. We're going to find past awards, current opportunities, and future opportunities, which are called forecasts. So we're going to look at those things there in a second. But if you're with me and if you want to move on, you want me to move on, type in 1 so I know that you're still with me. Okay, great. I see some folks typing in 1. All right, all of you should be typing in 1 because I want to move on. All right. Okay. Let's move on here. So in terms of finding past awards, this is very critical, and the reason you want to know past awards is because approximately 70% of projects that come up for bidding or for you to submit proposals to are recompete from previous awards. And so by knowing the past, you can actually tell the future. You can know that because 70% of projects are coming out for renewal again, and sometimes they may want the incumbent, the current contracting company, or sometimes they're not satisfied with that. They want it to be open competition again so that they can source out new vendors. So by knowing the past allows you to bid for the current projects that's available now. And so I'm going to show you a few methods on how to do that. FPDS is a great way to do it, but FPDS, the Federal Procurement Data System, is a little bit more complex. So for the purpose of today's example, I'm going to use USAspending.gov. So under USAspending.gov, I'm going to go ahead and exit the slides here. I'm going to go to our live portal here, and I'm going to put in USAspending.gov and click on USAspending.gov. All right, come on now. You have to put www in there, so they're one of the old systems that you still have to put that in there. Most everybody in today's time automatically understood that you don't need to put that anymore, but I guess in here they still do. Okay, so I'm in USA Spending. So how do I find USA Spending is the site where the government, this is the reporting site to the public, which is for the, as taxpayers, the government has an obligation to be transparent. And in being transparent, they have to show us how the money is going from the government to contractors and to different state agencies and so forth out there. So if I come here, I can see, I can do a few quick overview here. I can look at the state of Wyoming and see that the government awarded this year over $1 billion in the state of Wyoming already, 5,100 contracts. You can see that if I go to California, it's $66 billion federal money that have gone to the state of California, companies in the state of California, or performance that was done in the state of California. I can see, well, actually, this year is more performance that's done in those states. So I can see Texas is 45 billion, New York is 49 billion, DC is 14 billion, Georgia is 17, Florida is 36. So the darker the color, the more the money. Washington is 20 billion. Now Boeing is in Washington. There's a few other states, a few other agencies up there. So there's lots of money that's being going to the different states in terms of contracting opportunities in those places. Now I'm going to go in advanced data search. So if you see here on the top right corner, there's a little button that says advanced data search. I'm going to click on that because that's going to allow me to dive in more details. So I'm going to come in here and I want to see what project has been awarded. I'm going to check 2015 because that gives me a full year of award amount. And I'm going to come down here. I'm only going to put in a state so that we can narrow this down a little bit. I'm going to go with Alabama, the first state up here. And I want to put in here, let's assume I only want to look at contracts that's been awarded by the Department of Defense. I'm going to check that. And I can dive deeper, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to go in and say NAICS code, or the North American Industrial Classification System. The government award contract is based off of 6-digit industry NAICS codes. So I'm going to, but I have to start off with the first two. So I'm going to go in here and let's assume that I am a healthcare, well, let me find one that might be a little bit more generic for everybody else. So I'm going to go with 541. So I'm going to go with 54. And I'm going to assume that we're an advertising agency, or we're researching this for advertising agency, 541810. So by clicking on the 2-digit, it opens up the 6-digit. So now I can click on the 6-digit. So don't be confused if you only see the 2-digit. So now that I'm here, I'm going to click on this here. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and hit submit. Uh-oh, did something incorrect here. It is giving me 0. So let me go back again. I'm going to check 2015. I'm going to check the Department of Defense, funding agencies. This time I'm going to do generic, all states, and DOD awards to all states. And I'm going to come in here and check 541 again. And I'm going to hit advertising agency, and then I'm going to hit submit. So here's what this tells me. The Department of Defense awarded $515 million in contracts to, in the industry of advertising agency, which is 541810. And there was 512 contracts that was awarded. Now, many of these contracting opportunities, 70% of these contracting opportunities is going to come up for renewal. So why is it important to me to find previous award? Because I know it's going to come up. For example, you've heard of the Army Strong, right? Well, that's an advertising campaign that the Department of Defense contracted out to businesses so that they can create those different programs. They have recruiting videos. They have all types of advertising needs. $515 million. That's more spending than I would imagine Uh, McDonald's probably have. Maybe that probably rivals with McDonald's or Coca-Cola. I don't think Coca-Cola spends $500 million, do they? I don't think so. I think the government is probably the largest. The DoD is probably spent more money on advertising than any other agency, but that remains to be checked out. But but that tells you that they spend a lot of money. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to just randomly choose a company, and we're going to choose this $5 million project. Blaine Warren Advertising Company. They won this contract here for $5.5 million. It's with the Department of Defense, and they were the prime on it. And so I'm going to click on this contract award number here. Click on that, and it's going to open up a new tab, and it's going to show me the amount. So I can see that the amount, I can see who bought it, the Department of Defense. This is the Air Force. I can see this is a effective date is December 2014, and the completion date is December 2015. So they just finished it. So if this is a project I'm interested in, guess what? It's out for renewal. If it's a recurring type of project, it's out for renewal again. And this is for recruiting, right? Guess what? Would they always need recruiters, advertisers for recruit? Absolutely. The government or the DoD will always need advertising services for recruiting purposes. So I can see the detail here that this is for recruiting services. And now I know that it just expired and it's probably coming out if it's not already out, because and then I can see the company. They're out of Las Vegas. Learn more about their company. The place of performance was in Vegas. Product and service code. Advertising agencies. That's what they were looking for. Management advertising. And this is, let me go into competition information. So this was full and open competition. And so I know that this was not a sole source. There were 7 companies that bid on there, and then this was a set aside to small businesses only. Now think about this, sir. How many advertising agencies are there out there in the United States? I would say there's probably 20, 30,000. There may be less, there may be more, but I would say thousands upon thousands of companies that can do advertising for that are advertising companies. But look at this, there are only 7 bids were submitted. So if you submit a bid, you have about a 15% chance of winning a contract. That's pretty powerful. I mean, to be, to have about 15% chance of winning a bid just because you submitted a bid, that's pretty good odds there. So you can see there's not a lot of competition. And so if as this project comes up for renewal, you will have a lot of good information, because in here you already know which agency, when it was, how much it was awarded for, $5.5 million. Guess what? If it's the same project comes out for renewal again, and your bid is $10 million, guess what? Your pricing is too high. If your bid is $2 million, guess what? Your pricing is too low. So you want to be close to $5.5 million again, because the last company won it for $5.5 million. You want to do it for very similar pricing. And then now we're going to find a little bit more about this company here. This company is a small company, small advertising company. They have about 30 employees, and they say that their annual revenue is $6.5 million. To have 30 employees, I believe they have more revenue than that, but maybe they just haven't updated their annual report in terms of revenue. So this gives me a clue about this project here, and it prepares me for future opportunities. So I'm going to close this out. So, and you can do that for all these different projects, and you can see that there's pages after pages. There's 512 projects here. So I just did that for one, and you can go and choose any company out there, and and see which one you want to look and dive deeper into. But for today's purpose, I'm going to go ahead and keep moving forward. So that gives you an example of a project that was awarded, how much it was awarded for, who it was awarded for, and you can actually prep so that when it comes back around, you can have the information that you need. So let's go back to this here and let me continue with this here. So past award, you can use GSA eLibrary for past awards. You can use DIBS for past award, and there's also state. State has past awards also. In fact, let me go in here, and in 2008, there was a legislation that required all state to have accountability websites in terms of how they award contract to small businesses. And all those different websites are very odd. They're everywhere. So I'm going to type in fiscal accountability spending state, and let me do here. And you can put the state, whichever state you're in. But Maryland came up first. I'm gonna open up Maryland. So every state has a site to where you can go in and check who is awarding what type of contract, and who's winning, which agency are awarding what type of contracts. And so you can go in there and do the same thing here. And agency making payment, vendor receiving a payment. So I'm going to do vendor receiving a payment. And I'm going to type in here construction, right? Generally. And so hit results, and it gives me a export here. Please allow additional time exporting all records, and it's exporting right now. And while that's exporting, I can come in here. And so every state has a Texas. I used to have a list, but some of those things have changed, and so I don't have that list anymore. But at some point, I'm going to finish up that list. So I'm going to go back to the export here that came out into Excel, and I'm going to look at this here, and it's going to tell me the vendor, because I just put the word construction, and so it's going to tell me which company, how much was awarded, the amount. So if you're looking for subcontracting work, this is another good way to find subcontracting work, is through this here. If you're looking to see what your competitors are doing with the state of Maryland or any state, you can do this type of export, and you'll get more information. All right, so coming back to our presentation. So we've been talking about how to find past awards, and we looked at a few different sites. And now I'm going to look at how to find current opportunities. Now there's many ways to find current opportunities. Now for federal work, obviously the best one is FBOgov, which stands for Federal Business Opportunities. And so I'm going to look at FBO, so to kind of show you briefly, and I'm going to show you a few other for current opportunities. So I'm going to go to FBO.gov, and currently there's 26,000 federal opportunities out there. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to just put in here construction as a keyword, and I'm going to hit search because I want to just see within the last 90 days what projects are out there. And right now I see that there's over 2,848 projects that has the word construction in there. Now you want to look through it. Now again, you can go deeper, but for today's purpose, I just want to show you where to go and how to find it. And all terrain, so not all of it is, now if I want to be more specific, I go to the advanced search. And in the advanced search here, I can go down here and actually put in the NAICS code that I want. And so construction NAICS code is usually 23. So I'm going to go in 236, and I'm going to leave that 236, and then I'm going to search. And so based on that NAICS code, within the last 90 days, there's been over 4,000 projects. And so I want to go in here, construction of a new consolidated shipping center, a simplified acquisition basic engineering requirement contract for Tennessee. Uh, this is set aside for veteran-owned business. Bachelor quarters. Okay, so I'm going to look at repair bachelor's and listed quarters. So this is a renovation type of project. So I'm going to click on this here. It's a solicitation. It was initially pre-solicitation 12. It came out. They made final changes, and today it became a solicitation. So it's live today in terms of March 2nd. You come in here and look at the projects. They're saying that this project is estimated between $5 to $10 million, and so it gives you more details. And if you're interested in this project, it gives you the contact information. This is Melinda. She's the contracting officer. This is her email, her phone number. It's all here. If you have questions along the way, you can submit it to her. Again, any response she has, it has to be open. So that's FBO. Then I'm going to show you, and you can play around with FBO.gov. There's many more ways in there. I'm going to show you another site. I'm going to show you GSA reverse auction. This is a new site that the GSA has been really pushing for government agencies to use. So I'm going to take that link. I'm going to paste it. Is reverseauctions.gsa.gov, and come in here, and I can see that they buy almost everything in here. And they have. You do not need to have a GSA schedule to be a vendor on the reverse auction site. Now, if you have a GSA schedule, that means there's more opportunities for you. But when you go in there and you log in to become a vendor to the government, and you're selling it to the government, when you log in, they have what they call open sourcing and schedule sourcing. And so if it's open sourcing, you don't need to have a GSA schedule. Anyone can sell on here. And you don't even necessarily, they don't even necessarily want you to be registered in sam.gov yet. You can kind of just go in here and start the process. So this is another great site. Another site I want you to get familiar with is outreachsystems.com/iSearch. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to type in outreachsystems.com/iSearch. And in this system here, this is partially paid by taxpayer money, so you have free access to this here. Now the outreach system or iSearch here, typing ssguest and the password is ssguest and log in. And you can go in here. Now the beauty to this site is it allows you to search federal, state, and local. Whereas GSA, typically it's mainly federal work. FBO is federal business opportunities. That's why you're only going to be able to find federal opportunities there. And for the time to time, you might find some other things, but generally it's just all federal. This site allows you to find federal, state, local, and international work as well. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to check off January 1st. I'm going to look in terms of project that's come out in the last month and a half. And I'm going to put in the word. I can put NAICS. I just put a keyword here. I'm going to put in construction and hit search. Well, I'm going to use computer for a different industry because we've looked at construction already. So I see here, Kier 9-down security system, image gen, iHawk hardware maintenance, operations specialist, temporary life support, aircraft component, harmonics, wastewater sediment removal. There's all types, computer subassembly. Find the right one, computer subassembly. Find the right one that's a match for you. I'm just going to choose one. Let's assume that you're doing computer assembly, and you come in here. You find this one here is with DLA, and if you're interested, this is the contracting officer, Veronica. And you're saying, okay, you know what? I'm interested in this project here. Then what you want to do is you want to copy this link here and go to this link. So it will take you to the direct site. Okay, maybe, let me see. Does it not require that dash at the end then? Okay, usually the link will take you directly there. For some reason, this link is not taking me directly there. They may, I have to go all the way to the end. I didn't copy the whole thing, that's why. So I have to go all the way through here. All right. I'm going to go to it. So it takes me to this project here. It just came out February 29. This is the sources sought. And so they're saying that there's already a approved vendor, Woodward Inc. This is sources sought. So this is they're looking to probably do a sole source to this company. That's what it looks like. But you know, if you're interested, pay attention to it. It may be something that's open competition. Looks like they're prepping this here for a specific company already. So, you know, you may not, in the sources sought, they can still sole source it. Now, in a full solicitation, they're not going to sole source it anymore. All right, let's continue here because we got lots to cover. So I showed you a few different places how to find current opportunities. Now let's talk about how to find future opportunities. Or actually, one more thing. There's a lot of pay services out there. Now, I list here stateandfederalbiz.com, governmentbiz.com, govwin.com, govdirections.com, Omvia, ePipeline, EasyGovOps, FedBizAx. All these are different places where you can find opportunities. You have to pay for these services here. The previous example I showed you, they're all free services, but there may be a reason why you want to pay. You know, some of these services are $20, $30 a month. Some of these services are $3,000, $4,000 a month, depending on what your needs are, how big your company, what you can afford, your budget. So I normally recommend, you know, starting off with something like govdirections.com or State and Federal Biz. Any of these are more on the affordable side. They're on the low end for in terms of $20, $30, $40, $50 a month. And then you get into the higher end. The mid end is like EasyGovOps. They're about 150, 250 range. And then you get into the GovWin, which is DOTEC. This is probably the 3,000-pound gorilla in the industry. So GovWin is probably the best platform out there. It has the most information, but they're the most expensive. You know, for small business, you're going to pay about $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And for a large company, you might be paying $20,000, $30,000 a month for these services here. So appropriately choose which ones is what your budget can afford. And I'm not going to go into this here. Feel free to dig around with all these sites here and see which is a good match for you. Now, future opportunities. I'm going to show you the best way in terms of how to find future opportunities. And forecast is very critical. So to find future opportunities, you want the agency name and you want to put the word forecast and put the year in here. So if it's 2017, 2018, 2016, doesn't matter. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to, let's assume I'm going to go Google. I'm going to put in the agency, HHS forecast 2016. So I'm going to just type in that. And I come in here. So I don't want the grants because I want contracts. You can, if you do grants also, you can look at the grant forecast. But I'm going to look at the forecast for procurement opportunities. And so they have a database of where they put forecasted project that's coming out. So now that I'm here, CDC, they have a potential sole source project between 150 to 500,000 in Atlanta. And so you can come in here and see, you know, some of these are a little older, some of them are still new, still active, future projects. And just kind of look at the one that you want. If you're a copy machine here, right? Canon copier maintenance, $500,000 to $1 million. It's in Silver Spring, Maryland, and the anticipated award date is in August 2016. And this is going to be open competition. And this is, you know, this one's open competition again. So this is one way of how to find future forecasts. Now you can go to acquisition.gov, and under acquisition.gov you can use this site also to find future opportunities as well in here. And then let's go back to Google and forecast GSA 2016. So forecast of contracting opportunity, GSA, you can see here, they actually give you an Excel sheet. But I'm going to click on, go to their site. So I'm going to go to the GSA site, and they talk about, how they do forecast opportunities. But what's critical here is you can see that they just released their latest forecast uh, just a few days ago, less than a month ago. So 2016, I'm going to click on that. It's going to open up an Excel sheet. I'm going to open up my Excel sheet. You can see that there's lots of opportunities, and you can come here and you can do it by state. You can resort this here by state, and I can deselect all, and I'm going to put in Alabama and let's say Georgia and Florida. I'm going to hit OK. So what this did is it resorted all the information. It only allowed projects that's in those states that I chose, Georgia, Florida. And then you can kind of look at this here. So PBS is public building service, and you can see which project. Some of these are already being awarded, but you can see which project is still open for opportunities out there. There's a design, build, construction project. So see which one is a good match for you and bid on those projects. So that's another quick way of how to find opportunities. Let's go back and see what else I need to cover, because we're right at about the hour here. So now, just so that you know, this is actually very important here. I'm going to show you this here. Forecast is actually a part of the regulations. So the regulation states that as a small business, the government must make projects available for small business to compete at. And so part of the regulation says that agency must create a forecast so that small business can better go out there and better compete in the government market. So this is pulling up, but as this is pulling up, you can see that there's lots and lots of opportunities, or in terms of here, the regulation says, okay, under Public Law 100/655, Business Opportunity Development Reform Act, and in the Reform Act, it talks about the requirement that there must be goal settings for small business aided companies, but there also must be a forecast that's created for small businesses. And so that's why I said when you go in here and you're researching forecasts for agencies, or you can call the small business representative for those agencies, and they have the forecast available for you as a small business. So let me wrap up with that. There's lots and lots of things that we haven't covered, but we did cover a lot of information today. And let's take a few questions. And let me go to Myra. Myra, do we have any questions from our folks out there? If you're still with us, give me a 1. We got about 1 minute left. I'm gonna see if we can take 1 or 2 quick questions in here. And you got anybody out there with a question, Myra?
We do have a few.
Okay. So choose one. Choose one that you think is critical for us, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer one question, and then we're gonna wrap up today's training session.
Okay. This one I think is pretty critical. It says, okay, this is a ton of information. Where do I start?
Okay. So the question is, hey, there's a lot of information. Even just finding opportunities, there's lots of resources, lots of places that you can go to. How do I get started? How do I start mining for gold? Well, the best way to get started is reach out to the association. As the Government Contracting Association, that's why we exist. We're here to help you to navigate through this landmine of pitfalls, but also in this landscape, there's a lot of gold to be found. And so there's a lot of challenges, but there's a lot of opportunities in the government market. So the short answer to that is reach out to the Government Contractors Association. Let us be part of your solution. You can find us at www.FBOgov.org, or I'll go ahead and type it in here so that everyone can see it. www.govcontractors.gov, or you can call us at 404-955-8080. So, not .gov, but .org. .org. So govcontracts.org, 449-55-8080. And then, if you're kind of a do-it-yourself type of person, we do have a platform called govfasttrack.com. And if you go to govfasttrack.com, we have a software. I'll show you that quickly, and then we'll wrap up with this here. govfasttrack.com. And so in govfasttrack.com, we have this awesome software. And in this software, it will teach you not only how to find contracting opportunities, but it teaches you how to register, how to get certified, how to bid, how to write proposals. So this is a very comprehensive website and tool or software. So feel free to go to govfasttrack.com and read up on it. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll go from there. Well, everybody, that's up for a few minutes over the allotted time here. So thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate everybody coming on live with us. And stay tuned with us. We do webinars on a consistent basis. If you're not sure when we're doing events, go to govevent.com. All of our events are listed there. So the site is www.govevent.com. And that's how you find out more information about us, govevent.com. You can register for all of our events from there. And you can see our webinars, our association meetings. You can see all the other things that we do here. So again, signing off, this is Abe and Myra with the Government Contractors Association. Thanks for joining us for another Lunch and Learn webinar today. And until next week, we do webinars every single Wednesday. So until next week, we will catch up with you then. And then stop recording.